Happy Passover to you kings, to you princesses. Happy Passover. This is the night that Passover comes in. Passover is April 1st through April 8th. But it came in tonight when the sun went down. So we will be in the building tomorrow celebrating the Passover. Um, as well as unleavened bread. And we will celebrate that Wednesday night as well, the first day, and Wednesday night is the last day. So, mighty shalom to you brothers and sisters that are online. Mighty shalom to brothers and sisters that are all of the Battle Axe family. Coming to you on a Too Legit to Quit Tuesday. All praises to the Most High God. He's giving us another glorious Shabbat, another glorious Passover to celebrate with brothers and sisters of like-mindedness. So this is a glorious night, man. Again, I know looking in the group chat and the text, most people had it right. Shalom, shalom, my way to do, Renard. Most people had it right. Looking on your calendars, if you look on your calendar, it says that Passover comes in Tuesday night, sundown. So that is April the 1st. Tuesday night sundown is April the 1st. And we will be in the building tomorrow night, probably about 5 or 6. Sun doesn't go down now till about 8:15 now. So we'll have time to get into the building, celebrate the works of the Passover, which is eating of the lamb, the bitter herbs, and the unleavened bread. All praise to the Most High God. We got a lot of Battle Axe sisters that said they are cooking unleavened bread. So brothers and sisters, make sure you get with a sister to see if you can get an order placed so that you can eat unleavened bread for the entire week. Right? We've been going over Passover for the last 2-3 weeks of class, and it's finally here. Again, like I said, a glorious day that the Lord has given us to celebrate another feast of triumphing over our enemies. The Lord passed over the children of Israel and smit and killed the firstborn of the Egyptians. So we want to be in the spirit of that. We want to make sure that we are keeping that on our mindset as we are traveling and passing through this Passover week. Unleavened bread week, and just make sure that we are doing the right things that are adequate to the Most High God for His pleasure, right? We always want to do things for the pleasure of the Most High God. It's not for pleasure of men. It's not for trying to please Captain. It's not trying to please sister, wife. It's trying to please the Most High God. So we want to make sure that we are adequately doing what we have to do, the necessities of Passover, right? So again, Passover did come in tonight, right? It is officially Passover. Kevin, you're in there putting in the work. All praise. I know you got the house set up, sis. I know you do. All praises to the brothers, to my young brothers and sister in Houston, Sister Mary Houston. I know that y'all are with us in the spirit. Shalom, your call. Just giving a few more minutes for a few people to get in. It won't be a long class. I just wanted to make sure that brothers and sisters, that's right, Yakar. And like Soldier Yakar said, we got to make sure that the evening starts today, right? So either Passover would have came in tomorrow evening or to this evening. Now we're celebrating Wednesday to Wednesday. It could have came in Wednesday evening, but it came in Tuesday evening, right? Which makes it the first. Right, so brothers and sisters got to be on point with that to understand that the evening starts today. So that's a good point you call. That's exactly what it is, right? Now we could have been in the building tonight, right? We definitely could have, right? But we chose to do it Wednesday evening to Wednesday evening, which is not a problem. We are still celebrating Passover and unleavened bread coming in, right? So brothers and sisters, just make sure you look at your calendars. Right? Any questions, y'all make sure y'all call us. Okay, I'll pray the sister. Make sure you do so we can see it. And just make sure that we're on one accord, right? Doing what we have to do. Today's class will be Passover Works, right? The works that need to be set in stone for Passover, right? What are some of the works that need to be set in stone for Passover? We already know when we go to Exodus 12, when we go to Leviticus, these are works that need to be put in. And the works that need to be put in are forever, right? It is forever. So let's go to Exodus 12 real quick. Like I said, we just going over these things, man, making sure brothers and sisters are in the right spirit, knowing what's going on. We'll start from the top, Exodus 12 and 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of month. So, Happy New Year. We've been in our New Year for about 2 weeks, right? Because we know that 14 days after the first of that month will be Passover. So we've been in our New Year for 2 weeks. So Happy New Year to brothers and sisters, as well as Happy Passover now, right? Again, verse 2, this month shall be unto you the beginning of month. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So this is a heavy precept in understanding, like we said, how I did the class on how to dictate your calendar and how the months and the cycles go for the children of Israel, right? If you can get that Passover down, you can get that New Year date down, then everything else should go pretty much smoothly, right? Verse 3, speaking to the congregation, speaking to all the congregation, Shalaki family, some of my throat, of Israel. I don't know what apologetics be talking about. He said, speak to the congregation of all Israel, right? Even when there was a mixed multitude, they were not of Israel. So he's not speaking to them. And we know this to be true because the Bible tells us that what? No stranger can celebrate the Passover, eat of the Passover, man. Right? So we just got to make sure that we hold ourselves down and accountable for what we are reading and what we are doing, right? Speaking to all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, you shall take unto every man a lamb according to the house of their father, a lamb for the house. And you seen Brother Renard in the chat, he already has the lamb. We went and got the lamb. Brother Ehud went and picked it up. Ak is trying to season it tonight for brothers and sisters so that we can put it on the grill tomorrow and have lamb, bitter herbs, and unleavened bread, right? Let's jump down to verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish. Now we know this is spiritually for going into Christ, right? Christ was that lamb unblemished, that lamb or that spot unblemished, that lamb unblemished, that Passover unblemished, and we ourselves should not have a lamb that is blemished, right? So your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. And like Capt Benaniyah said, 9 times out of 10, we're using them sheep, man, right? We ain't dealing with them goats. But and it gives you specifics, man, on how we should do it. You can't have a baby lamb, right? It has to be of a year old, right? These things are specific. These are the Passover works that must be kept in their time and season. When it's Passover, Passover is now. Passover will be from today, which is tonight, which starts the 1st to the 8th. As you know, the night, the day start in the evening. This will be our Passover from now until April the 8th. So Wednesday, April the 8th, at sundown will end Passover unleavened bread. Right? Verse 6, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. So we get the lamb on the 10th, right? We keep it until the 14th. That was then, right, when we were sacrificing. We know now that what we are that sacrifice, but we still want to keep the Passover in its form how we should, because the Bible tells us, right? Verse 7, and they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper door posts of the house wherein they shall eat. So this is what happened when the children of Israel passed over, that we had the blood on the door, right? You want to have that blood on the door. That blood represents what? Your sacrifice, man. It represents your life, right? You are that sacrifice, right? Verse 8, and you shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs shall you eat. So these are the works. Roast with fire, eat lamb that is roast with fire. We're not cooking it. We're not boiling it, right? We're not making a etouffee out of it. We are cooking the lamb, preferably on the grill, right? We are eating what? Unleavened bread or what? Sweet bread. And we are eating bitter herbs. These are the three works that we should do coming into Passover the first day. Shalom, King. Shalom, King James and Judah. How you doing, bro? Shalom, all family that's came in, man. Right? Happy Passover to brothers and sisters again. We are going into the works of Passover. Right? Verse 10, and ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it in the morning you shall burn with fire. So this is heavy in knowing that when we come into Passover tomorrow evening, which we are right now, but when we come to celebrate the Passover, the first day with the brothers and sisters in the congregation, what we eat that night, we what? Throw it away. After everybody has eaten, this ain't no, oh, we getting plates and wrapping up plates and taking it to the house. No, sir. No, ma'am. Scripture say that we are doing what? We are what? Verse 10, and you shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. Something is in my throat. And that which remaineth of it until the morning, you shall burn with fire. So that lamb that we do not eat, that lamb, we shall throw that away, right? That's why you got to make sure that you kind of set this thing in stone, that you do this thing right. You don't want to have a whole lamb for the first night of the Passover and then have to throw that lamb away. Now, we have a half a lamb, and if we have to throw that away, then all praises to the Most High God, so be it. We're going to be in order, right? But every brother and sister needs to have, even babies and children, right? And we know this. Every mother, son, father, child, elder, they should have lamb, bitter herbs, unleavened bread, right? This is the works that we must do. And whatever we don't eat that night, we what? Burn it with fire, or we what? Throw it away. So anybody keeping the Passover outside of the congregation of the Battle Axes, and you follow us, well, if you're keeping the Passover at home, like I know Sister Mary Houston is with her family, then we know that tomorrow evening, that lamb that we eat that night, and everything that's left over after we have eaten our unleavened bread and bitter herbs and lamb, we throw it in the trash, the lamb that is, right? You keep your unleavened bread, right? Because your unleavened bread is to be eaten when? Throughout the whole Passover, right? So it says, verse 11, and thus ye shall eat it with your loins girded, and your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. So we know that back then we were passing over, we were getting out of Egypt. This is still a similitude to show you that what, when you're eating this, when you're participating in these works, that you always have a spiritual mindset of what's going on, right? Even tomorrow, Lord's willing, right? When we eating our lamb, our Passover, we not just sitting there big chilling, yeah, what up, bro? Chilling, we eating it, right? We are understanding what's going on. Not to say that you have to have a staff, not to say that you have to just rush and glut and eat, but the spiritual side of it is showing you that we were what? On the run, that we were what? Pilgrims at that time, that we were what? Eating that Passover and making haste with it, right? We wasn't sitting down letting the enemy try to come up on us, right? Or try to attack us. Always be in that mindset, that spiritual mindset of these high holy days, right? Verse 12, for I will pass through the land of Egypt that night and will smite the firstborn of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. So we see the Lord is letting us know to eat it in haste, because guess what? I'm coming. Yeah, y'all need to go on and put the blood on the door. Y'all need to go ahead and eat your lamb, eat your unleavened bread in haste, and be watching. Basically, hey, pay attention, because I'm coming, right? So we see that the Lord has given us strategic what is the class going into? Works, strategic works that we must involve ourselves in, right? Let's go to Judges 5 and 11. Well-known precept that we pull. Christians can't refute this, right? They cannot refute this. Nothing they can do can go against the scripture. All right, this is a heavy precept that we always pull. And this is exactly what we need to start off with, the works that are deemed in Passover. Works, period, man. Right? Christians love to go into Galatians 3:0. It's not by works. Ephesians 2:8. Oh, it's not by works. We're eating lamb tomorrow. We'll be in the building, like I said, about 5 or 6. We'll eat lamb probably about 7 o'clock before that sun goes down. Every brother and sister will eat lamb, bitter herbs, and unleavened bread tomorrow, probably about 7 o'clock. We'll be in the building around 5 or 6. We'll get everything situated and make sure every brother and sister is there. And then, Lord's willing, probably about 7, no later than 7:30, before the sun goes down on that evening. We will all eat the bitter herbs and the lamb tomorrow, right? That's right, and that's a great precept. That's a great precept, man, because that is showing you the work. Thou shalt teach them the ordinances and laws. This is what we are doing. We are teachers of the law. This is a law for the children of Israel, right? Let's go to Judges 5 and 11. It says, Judges 5 and 11, they that are delivered from the noise of orchards in the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates. So the Bible says, they that are delivered from the noise of orchards. What are the noise of orchards? This is war, man. Right? This is when the Lord is what? About to knock off the Egyptians, right? Whatever heathen or heathen nation that he's dealing with, they that are delivered from the noise of orchards, right? That is going into what? Your war, right? In the places of drawing water, in your captivity, right? The places of drawing water is going into your captivity, right? There, that is a heavy word. There shall they rehearse the righteous acts. Christians love to say, oh, you got to keep the feast days in Jerusalem. Nobody's in Jerusalem. That's a lie, because we've seen many Israelites keep the feast outside of Jerusalem. Paul, on his journey, tried to keep the Passover outside of Jerusalem. Joshua and the children of Israel at that time kept the Passover outside of Jerusalem. The very first Passover was not in Jerusalem, right? So we know that is a lie. The Bible says that in their drawing water there, where they are at, where the Lord has what? Scattered the children of Israel. That's where you make these works of the Lord come alive. And this is how we show. This is at Matthew 5 and 13. This is how we let our light shine, right? We let our light shine right here where the Lord has sent us into spiritual Babylon, this wicked kingdom, and we show this wicked kingdom that we can keep the commandments, right? Fringes, head wraps, modest dress. This is what we do tomorrow. Yes. So Judges 5 and 11 is a heavy precept. We must rehearse these righteous acts in our captivity where the Lord has scattered us. Right? We have Israelites over in some parts of Africa, right? We have camps. IUIC has camps set up over there, right? They should be keeping these rehearsals wherever they are at, right? We are scattered around the four corners of the earth. But it's a big problem because the scriptures let us know that a lot of brothers and sisters won't have this understanding or won't be able to receive this. And it's a lot because of, let's go to Amos. Let's go to Amos, chapter 8. The works of Passover. Let's start at verse 10. I'm done. Amos chapter 8, verse 10. You could have do it, thank you. I don't know why I got this in my throat. Amos 8, verse 10. And I will turn your feast into mourning, and all your songs into lamentation. And I will bring up sackcloth upon all loins, and baldness upon every head. And I will make it as the mourning of an only son, and the end thereof of a bitter day. You know, what feasts are these going into? These are going into what? Man-made feasts. These are going into your holidays, your Christmas, your holidays, your Easters, right? Your New Year. Shalom, sis. This is going into those feasts, your feast that you have appointed feast, and not the feast of the Most High God. He said, I will turn your feast into mourning and all your songs into lamentation. Because what they like to do on the feast, they like to sing, gather around. But I'm going to tell you, every one of these holidays that America indulges in, is always something bad that happens, man. You wake up the next morning, 10 on the news, 10 killed in a whatever the case may be after Christmas party, whatever the case, New Year's, people dying all the time. It's just so much happening. This is the Bible lining itself up. It says, I will turn your feast into mourning and all your songs into lamentation, and I will bring up sackcloth upon all loins, man, right? Because you are not keeping the ordinances of the Most High God. You have turned the Most High God's ordinances into what? Nothing. And now you want to what? Profess and keep your own feast, right? Man, I just seen, let's go back to Judges right quick. Judges 5 and 11. I was gonna read that too, because it lets us know, man, that this is exactly what we did, that we went after strange gods, man. Basically, when we going after strange gods, then we're doing what? Strange feasts, right? Let's go back to Judges 5 and let's read verse 8. Judges 5 and 8. They chose new gods. Then was war in the gates. Was there a shield or spear seen among 40,000 in Israel? Right? Because we've gone after new gods, right? We've gone after gods that the Lord taught. First of all, first law is the Lord told us what? To have him as God and no other God, right? The Lord said he is a jealous God. So by default, when you go after new God, new things, or go after new feasts, you are going after new gods, right? So you are participating in new gods' feast days, right? We know when they going into Christmas, they're going into Saturnalia. It's going back farther and deeper, right? When they're going into Easter, it's East Star, right? It's going into the fertility god, right? We know all these things because we see and we read and study up on it. What's that precept? Your works are as good as sacrifice in edges. Well, we know Sirach, chapter 35 lets us know that. Let's go back to Amos 8 and 10, and then we can get that in Sirach 35. Go back to Amos 8 and 10. Many precepts. We can go to 2 Samuel 7, right, to show you of those works. 15. I said 7. I'm going to go to the 35 and 1 of Sirach first. Then we'll go to 1 Samuel 15. Sirach 35 and 1. He that keepeth the law bringeth offering enough, right? He that taketh heed to the commandment offereth a peace offering. He that requiteth a good turn offereth fine flour, and he that giveth alms sacrifice praise. To depart from wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Lord. That is heavy. To depart from wickedness, right? To depart from these strange gods, to depart from keeping birthdays, to depart from keeping Thanksgiving, to depart from keeping Christmas and new moons, right? He says, thou shalt not appear empty, but for verse 3, to depart from the wickedness is a thing pleasing unto the Lord. So when you come into your nationality and you denounce these other or these pagan gods, and you come into the works that the Lord is giving you to do, then the Lord said he is pleased by that, right? So that is one showing that the sacrifice is no more than our works, right? I'm going to try to find that one in Edges. The works are as good as the sacrifice. That was Sirach 35 and 1. Yes, ma'am. But let's go to 1 Samuel 15. First Samuel 15 and 22, and Samuel said, hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. So the Lord said, we got to read that again. That is heavy, man. Obedience is always is greatly looked upon from the Most High God rather than sacrifice. This is why the Lord done away with sacrifice, right? We see the Lord showing you, even from the beginning of time in the prophets, that he was getting away from sacrifices. It says 22 again, and Samuel said, Hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings as and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than to sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. For rebellion is the sin of witchcraft. A lot of brothers and sisters don't know it. When we go out there and teach this and we show them, I was just on a apologetic video the other day. Y'all already know. Dwayne talking about he debunking. Oh, that's the one you meant. All praise. Talking about he debunking Israel. Well, I asked him. So you about to keep Easter? Oh no, you got me wrong. I said, oh, so you about to keep Passover? Oh no, I ain't doing that either. Well, son, brother, what's going on? Because the Lord said that these things were forever. So that means you rebelling to keep these commandments, right? And it says it's as the sin of witchcraft. When you rebel heavy on the truth, you have a spirit on you. You have a spirit of witchcraft, man. Right? And that's exactly what it is. So those two precepts are heavy precepts to show that obedience is better than sacrifice. And there are many more, man, right? Hebrews 10:4 shows you that the Lord is doing away with sacrifices. Micah 5:12 was a good one. Acts 13:6, we pulled that the other day. These are precepts to show you that sacrifices are no more needed. The sacrifice that is needed today is what? What sacrifice we need today? That should be easy. Brothers and sisters, what sacrifice do we need today? What sacrifice do we need today, brothers and sisters? Come on, I need it. I know y'all got it. Give it to me. Come on, all praises. That is an ordinance forever. What sacrifice are we needed today? What's the only sacrifice that we have to throw up to the Lord today? Knowing that he done away with the sacrifice of what? Animals or bulls and goats, right? What is the sacrifice that we now give to the Most High God? I know somebody got it. Somebody got it. Obedience, definitely. But what's the precept? What are we sacrificing to the Lord right now? Let's go to Romans chapter 12, man. We know this. This is a well-known precept, Israel, that we must have. Because sacrifices of blood, of bulls and goats, they are done away with. The only sacrifice we have now to the Father is this. Romans 12, starting from the top, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice. Because that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, right? Holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Do anyone y'all know what reasonable means? That's heavy that the Lord said that. So that's the Lord's word. He said that is your reasonable service. What is reasonable, man? That means that's the least you can do, man. That is the least you can do, is give your body over to the Father, which gave his life for us, right? That's your reasonable service, man. These are part of the works that we must put in around Passover, right? Let's go to Exodus real quick. Let's get a precept on that. Because Moses did the same exact thing, man. Exodus 2, we'll start at verse 10. Exodus 2:10. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. So Moses became the son of Pharaoh's daughter, right? Now we know when it says he became her son, that means he what? Took hold of the ways of the Egyptians, right? Just because he became her son doesn't make him an Egyptian, because he was born an Israelite. But he took hold of the customs and ways of the Egyptians. That's how he became her son. And she called his name Moses, and she said, because I drew him out of the water. Verse 11. And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens. So he went out Like I said, he didn't become an Egyptian. He took hold of the Egyptian customs. Now when he got old, he went to see his brethren, who are the children of Israel, and he said what he looked upon their burdens, their pains, their iniquity, and he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren. So we know that Moses was a child of the Hebrews. He was of that bloodline. And he took this way, and he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. So we see that Moses gave up his life, even though Moses could have been great in Egypt, right? He became the son of Pharaoh's daughter. That means he could have been high ranking in Egypt, right? He chose not to, but he chose rather to go through the afflictions and smite an Egyptian for his true brethren, man. That's him giving his body over to the Most High God, right? Says, do you mind if I ask a few questions? If I'm wrong, I will adjust. Well, just put them in the chat, brother. I got a small class I'm going into, and we can definitely try to get to some questions. So rather be good with the Egyptians, what did he do? He slew an Egyptian for his brother, man, right? And it speaks of that in Hebrews, man, right? It speaks of that in Hebrews 11, right? Where it shows you that he could have been great in Egypt, but instead he took hold of imprisonments, and took on the sins of Israel rather than being great, right? With the Egyptians, man, right? Let's go back to Amos. We still holding Amos 8 and 11. I read 10. I want to read 11. Let's read 10 again. Let's go back to Amos 8, and we'll start at 10 again. Okay, that's a good question. Hey, that's real simple, ain't it, your call? He said, we seem confident that we know the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans are the children of Israel. How can we find that out? We can simply go to the curses. These curses in the Bible identify as certain people, man. All praises. I see brothers and sisters in the chat. Hey, y'all go ahead, man. Make it simple, right? The curses identify who God's children were that he chose, right? But Amos 8, and let's read 10 again. We're going to get to that. Amos 8 and 10. And I will turn your feasts into mournings, and all your songs into lamentations. And I will bring up sackcloth upon all loins, and baldness upon every head. And I will make it as the mourning of an only son, and the end thereof as a bitter day. This is why a lot of brothers and sisters that are in the Christianity churches and things of that nature, this is why they cannot take that veil off their eyes. Verse 11, behold, the days come, said the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land, right? Not a famine of bread, nor of thirst of water, but of hearing the word of God. This famine has been here for the children of Israel, and this is why they can't understand, right? Like the brother just said, you seem to be confident. Why? Because we know that a famine came in the land, but some brothers and sisters, did not exercise their spirits or strengthen their minds enough to see that, and they let that famine take over their mind, right? Yeah, we know you've been told that. Oh, he came in Atlanta saying, hey, that's all praises. We go get the same answer, right? We ain't got to go deep into that. You don't gotta be a deep teacher to understand the curses or to identify the curses of the children of Israel, right? But they have their eyes blinded, or like Amos 8 and 11 said, the famine has been upon them, the famine of the word, and now their eyes are blinded, right? Let's go to Romans 10. We'll start from the top. Let's start at Romans 10 and 1. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is, not for everybody, but for Israel is that they might be saved. Yeah, next question. For our brethren record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. There's a lot of Christians out here that kind of know the Bible, right? But they still get stumbled up with Paul's letters and writings. A lot of Christians, they don't want to touch the Old Testament. They want to stir straight into the New Testament. A lot of apologetics, they want to try to make Paul's writings fit the Old Testament instead of trying to make the Old Testament fit with Paul's writings. You understand that? They have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. But not according to the knowledge of the Bible, right? They have a zeal of the Word of God. They know things in the Bible. They can go to Romans. They can go to Colossians. They can flip to Ezekiel, right? They know the books of the Bible. They have a zeal of God, but it's not according to the knowledge that the Lord gave us, right? The knowledge that He gave us is what? The understanding, or it's going into what? Proverbs 4:2, right? Let's get that real quick. This is what they have a zeal of, but not according to knowledge. What's the knowledge that they don't have, that they don't understand? Proverbs chapter 4, verse 1. Hear ye children, the instruction of a father, and attend to knowing understanding. That knowledge is understanding. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. This is what they're lost in, man. This is what they have a zeal of God in, but not according to knowledge. Because Christians don't keep the commandments, right? He said next question. You seem confident identity later. Would that make Amazon, Walmart an identity? What? Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. That's a stupid question, bro. If not, then I'm not trying to understand what makes the Deuteronomy case different. Well, hey, either you go here or forbear. We gonna give you what the Word of God says. We're not switching up. All right, you can talk about Amazon, Walmart, Kroger, Costco's, BJ's, all that other stuff if you want to. But the curses in Deuteronomy 28 identify only specific people that were scattered, that are being treated cruelly even in today's life, right? They had the same cruelty ways and acts put upon them back in the time of the Bible. And that adds up to the children of Israel, which would be the so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Remember, the Hispanic Americans, right? The so-called Hispanics, which are native, the native side, 1492, what happened? Christopher Columbus came over here and what? Wiped all of them out, gave them smallpox, right? Killed them all, killed all our buffaloes off. That's cruelty, man. Right? That's cruelty. That was done to the Hispanics, the so-called Hispanics, right? Which is Issachar today, right? Those natives, man, that native side of our brothers and sisters, Thanksgiving, that is the killing of our brothers, man. Right? These things still identify the so-called blacks going into the transatlantic slave trade, us being into 7 captivities, major, even more than that with all the minor captivities, the sub-Saharan trade, slave trade, the slave trade of the Africans, man, the Hamites, right? These only identify to the children of Israel, man. No other nation of people, right? So you can try to get us to change our minds, but this don't change. The Bible don't change, right? So Romans 10:2 says, for our brethren record that they have a zeal of God. They can read their Bible, but they don't have the true understanding, but not according to knowledge. That knowledge is the law, statutes, and the commandments, right? Verse 3, for they being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness. Look how the Bible lines up with these Christians, man. It says they being ignorant of God's righteousness. No, we're not keeping Passover. But we're about to go paint some Easter eggs. And we're about to go play with some bunnies. And we're about to go have an Easter egg hunt. They go by and profess their own righteousness, man. Even if no one else fits the curses. Matching curses doesn't prove lineage. Matching doesn't equal ancestry. That's logical. No, that's not logical. But that's exactly how you identify these nations. So, Professor, the Lord made 18 nations in the Bible. How do you identify these nations? How do you identify who the wicked is, right? Because the Bible gives you clues to understand it. We can go to the wicked and see every time that the Lord speaks of the wicked, that he's speaking of a certain people, right? Their certain people is what? The so-called Edomites of the day, the so-called white men of the day. How can you understand the Arab man being a wild man by nature, right? And this you identify. Who is the only people strapping bombs to themselves today, right? Ali Akbar and killing thousands of people. That's how we identify that the Arabs are those people, right? That they do come from Ishmael, man, right? That is exactly how you do it. It's not logical in your mind, but it's logical according to the Bible. And this is exactly what Romans 10:3 is saying. Well, they being ignorant of God's righteousness is showing us that he identifies who these people are according to the Bible, right? Curses identify people. Words identify people, right? And lineages, right? But they being ignorant of that and going about to establish their own righteousness. That's not logical. That's your righteousness, Professor. That's not the righteousness of God. That's your righteousness, right? Establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves into the righteousness of God. You still fighting it. You fighting it because you want to establish your righteousness above the righteousness of God. We have to be doers of the word, right? These are the works that the Father instills in us, right? Y'all out here doing dead works. Christians out here celebrating Easter, right? That's dead, right? We out here trying to set up and do exactly what the Father told us to do. Those are those alive works that we're trying to keep and put it back into the children of Israel, right? So Romans 10:3 is heavy, man. Right? They went about to use their own righteousness. That's why they celebrate Christmas and Easter, man, and these things, man. Because they're going about their own righteousness, man. Right? Let's go to Galatians. Galatians chapter 2. 1 minute, Israel. Salakia, family thought somebody was at the door. That was you knocking? What are you saying? The Bible took place in the Levant. What? Man, don't worry about him. Let's get back into these works, man. Let's go to Galatians, man, chapter 2. We're gonna use what Christians love to use. This is what they love to go to, man. We're going to start at verse 16. The book of Galatians, chapter 2, verse 16. Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Christ. Even we have believed in Christ, that we might be justified by the faith of Christ, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified. Christians love to go here, right? Oh, they got us. You don't gotta keep no law. Y'all like are keeping laws. Bible says you ain't justified by the law. Right? Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law. That's what the class is going into, right? Works. Righteous works, right? What is this law pertaining to? We've been talking about it all day, man. We've been talking about it all day. What are these works pertaining to? Because when we go to James, let's go to James chapter 2. That means we're making the Bible out of a lie, man. That means the Bible is not coinciding together, right? And that's not the case. It's a math word they use called congruent. That means that the scriptures are not congruent. That means they are not alike or the same. And that's not what it is. The thing is, we don't have the understanding. James 2:14 says, what doeth the profit, a brethren, though a man say he has faith and have not works? Can faith save him alone? That's what Christians say. You just got to have faith. But our brother James lets us know further deeper into the New Testament that you must have faith and works together. Faith won't save you alone, right? Jump down to 17. Even so, faith, if it had not works, it is dead being alone. You have to have works with this faith. But hold on. Galatians 2 said what? Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by faith in Jesus Christ. So hold on. It's a contradiction, right? No. You have to get deeper and unlock the mysteries of the Bible. You have to what? 1 Timothy 2 and 15. You got to what? Study. You got to dig deep into this thing to show yourself approved, man. Right? It says, even so, faith, if it has not works, is dead being alone. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Okay, so just like the Christians say, we tell the Christians, hey, we got works. Christians say, well, I got faith. Okay, let's see what James says. Show me thy faith without thy works. If you got faith, show me your faith without their works. Right? And I will show you my faith by my works. See, my faith is going to show exactly who I am by the works that I put into it. Right? My faith is that the Lord gave us the Passover and that I'm going to keep the Passover, right? Even in today's time, right? That's my faith. That's my works into my faith, right? Christians, just all you got to do is believe, right? But we still got to answer the question. What is this saying? If it's saying in Galatians 2 that knowing this, that a man is not justified by the works of the law, what is this saying, right? Let's get another one they like to pull. Let's go to Romans 3 and 28. Don't lose what we're talking about. Because James said that you got to have faith and works, but the book of Galatians, Paul's letters is saying that you're not justified by the works of the law. So we got to see exactly what's going on. Let's keep going into it and diving into it a little bit. Romans 3 and 28. It says, therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. Hold on, we're being bamboozled. What's going on? Verse 28 again of Romans 3. Therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. But James said that you are what? Even so, faith, if it has not works, it is dead being alone. So is what? Paul lying? Is James lying? Is Paul and James not on the same team? Are they different? Right? Is this going into what? A mockery of the Bible? Is this making the Bible out of a lie? No. Let's go to Ephesians 2 and 8. Remember, these are all, everything we're going to is Paul's writings that have us misunderstood. If y'all catch that. We went to Galatians 2 and 16. It kind of got us thinking like something ain't right. We went to Romans 3 and 28. It got us feeling like something ain't right. Now we're finna go to Ephesians 2 and 8. And this finna have you thinking the same thing. Why is James saying one thing, but Paul saying another? Are they beefing? Are they not on the same team? Ephesians 2 and 8. For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. What? Paul is saying by grace you are saved through faith. So now we just got to have grace and we are saved through faith. What's going on? If you're not studying this Bible, this is exactly what you're going to feel like. This is exactly what you're going to go into. You're going to hit a wall. You're going to hit a brick, a layer, and you're not going to be able to bust through it because you have not the understanding. Right? Let's go back to Galatians 2 and 16, and let's get to it now. Let's go and go in and break it down and show them exactly what they're missing. Remember, we got James telling us that faith without works is dead. You must have faith and works. James said, you tell me you got faith and I'm going to show you I got works. He said, I'm going to show you my faith by my works, right? Let's go back to Galatians 2 and let's see exactly what's going on now. Brothers and sisters, we ought to be able to know this and be able to break this down But just in case if you can't, these are the works that we must put in. Galatians 2 and 16. If I can find it. Ephesians, Galatians. Let's read it again. Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Yahushua. Even we have believed in Yahushua, that we might be justified by the faith in Christ, and not by the works of the law. By the works of the law shall no flesh be justified. What are we talking about? This dude said you're not reading in context. I'm trying to put the Christian ways out there now. This is how Christians read. They go to Galatians 2 and 16. It's not by the works of the law. They go to Romans 3 and 28. They go to Ephesians. It's not by works, right? Well, we're finna see. Okay, well, since I ain't reading in context, let me go to context. Let's show you what this law is. What is this law, Israel? What is this law? This law is going into animal sacrifice. That's right. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 9. Since we ain't reading in context, you're right. We ain't reading in context. Let's go to context. Let's see why Paul is saying that you are not justified by the law. What law is he referring to? He's talking about animal sacrifice. Let's read this. Hebrews 9 and 11. But Christ being come on high priest of good things to come by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building. This greater and more tabernacle is going into the grace that Christ is going to give the children of Israel on his deathbed, right? Verse 12, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood, right? We're not talking about the sacrifices that we used to throw up. You know, if you had cheated on your wife, you had to throw up a sacrifice of a turtle dove in this way, in this inches, in this way, right? But now the Lord is saying it's not by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood, right? Christ is talking about the sacrifice of his blood, right? But by his own blood, he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us, right? Verse 13, for if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkled the unclean, sanctified to the purity of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God. So now we see that even in Hebrews, he said that Christ's death and his blood should purge you from dead works. So we see works now. So we're starting to see that, hold on, some is not adding up, because Galatians is talking about without works, James is talking about with works, and that Hebrews is talking about dead works. So we got to keep going and put this thing together, man, right? It says a more perfect tabernacle. A tabernacle is going into a testament, right? Or a covenant, something new, right? Christ is that more perfect tabernacle, because now we don't have to sacrifice bulls and goats, right? Now we make our bodies a living sacrifice, and we take the sacrifice of Christ being that Passover lamb, unblemished, right? Right? This is what we're looking into, right? Oh, we can't understand it. Let's keep reading. Let's go to 15. It says, and for this cause, he is the mediator of the New Testament. Look, and I just went over that. You are saved by grace through faith. We just went into this, and here they go. Here go Christians putting it in the chat. Y'all don't listen for understanding. You're listening to rebuttal. We just talked about that, man. We just talked about that. The works are you keeping the commandments. That's what the works are. James said, I'm going to show you my works by my faith. The works of keeping Passover. The works of growing your beard, not cutting your beard. The works of gathering together, keeping the 7-day Sabbath holy. These are the works that he's speaking of. His covenant, the new covenant, is going to be everlasting. We're not in the new covenant. We're on our way into it, but the covenants are everlasting. I'll give you that. I don't know if you're trying to say something different. But the old covenant and the new covenant, they are everlasting. I'm going to tell y'all, it's crazy. Because the new covenant is nothing but the old covenant. Why would I say that? Because it's the same laws. Watch this. Let's go to Hebrews 8 and 8. There's not going to be no new laws in the new covenant. You're going to keep the same laws from the beginning. Brothers, y'all got to read this Bible. Watch this. Hebrews 8 and 8. For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, said the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel. So this covenant is still with the same children of Israel that he made the covenant with in the Old Testament. It's a new covenant though, right? Let's see. Let's keep reading. With the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, going into the northern and the southern kingdom, right? Because we know that it was a split of the kingdoms. I hope y'all know that. Verse 9, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt. He said, not according to that covenant. This is going to be a new covenant, right? Meaning it's not going to be that covenant, but I'm going to give you a new covenant, right? He says, because they continue not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, said the Lord. Let's keep reading verse 10. Remember what I said. The new covenant is going to be instilled with the same laws of the old covenant. Watch this. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days. This covenant is for Israel, not anybody else. Y'all be fighting for these so-called white people to make it to the kingdom. Y'all be fighting for everybody else, and then really y'all don't fight for the Egyptians. Y'all don't fight for the Ammonites. Y'all don't fight for them. Y'all fight for the white man. That's the only people y'all fight for. Y'all don't fight for nobody else but them, man. Right? It says, verse 10, for this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, right? After the days of the old covenant. Said the Lord, I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. Did he say he was going to change anything? He says he's going to put his laws, the same laws that he gave us in the Old Testament, the same laws of what? Of feast days, the moral laws, the civil laws, the dietary laws, not eating pork, catfish, shrimp. These are the same laws that he said he's going to put into our minds. Now you're going to know not what to do, right? This is all he's saying, that the new covenant is going to be instilled with the same laws of God. It's not going to be a change. It's not going to be a change in people. It's not going to be a change in the laws, right? He said again, he says, I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a God, and they will be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. The same laws. The New Testament is going to be the same laws of the Old Testament. What are the laws of the Old Testament? Keeping the commandments. Keeping Passover, which we on right now. Keeping the dietary laws, not eating pork, crab, shrimp, lobster. Keeping the moral laws, loving your neighbor, loving your brother. This is what the new covenant is going to be. But let's jump over to 9 and 15. 9 and 15 says, and for this cause, he is the mediator of the New Testament. Who is he? Christ, right? That by means of death, by Christ's death, being the ultimate sacrifice for the children of Israel, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament. Who had transgressions under the first testament? The children of Israel. Who were under the first testament? Who made a covenant with Christ by sacrifice? The children of Israel, right? This is Christ saying that he's coming back for those same children of Israel, right? For the redemption of the transgression or the sins that were under the first testament, which were Israel, right? Or covenant. They which are called, who was the called? Israel, Isaiah 48 and 12, right? Might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. But hold on, it gets greater, because we still got to identify that Galatians 2 and 16, it says not by works or not by law. But we see that in 14, it talked about dead works. What are some of these dead works that they are doing? Easter. What are some of these dead works they're doing? Going to church on Sunday, saying that Sunday is their Sabbath, right? Putting tithing and giving the church every bit of dime they got, and they not getting none out of it. When tithing and alms were food and crops and everything, man. Y'all want to go get some tithes to the church? Go put an apple or orange in there, man. All right, everybody that go to that church next Sunday, y'all want to get some alms, some tithes. Everybody give an apple and put it in the storehouse. Right? Y'all gonna have a whole lot of apples. If something go wrong, the church should be eating on apples. Then the next Sunday, everybody give some oranges. Right? Then the next Sunday, y'all gonna give up whatever. This is what alms and were really about, truly about, man. I see him. He talking about how you got golds and wearing jewelry. Come on, man. Don't y'all know that we are those people? Shalom, Capone. How you doing? Shalom. Don't y'all know that we are those people? We are those kings. Shalom to the kings, man. Shalom to the gods of this earth, man, because we are those gods. Samuel had so much gold, the whole temple was made of gold. Do y'all not understand what we trying to tell y'all? All y'all want to do is go to Paul's writings. Go and look. Go look at Solomon, man. Solomon was the wisest king. He was the richest king. All the people came abroad to see Solomon. Even Queen Sheba came to ask him questions and see how his wisdom and his riches were so much, man. When Solomon built the kingdom because David couldn't because of the blood shed on his hands, he built the kingdom made of gold. The building was made of gold. You don't think we had enough gold in our earrings? Remember when the children of Israel came out of Egypt and Moses went up to the mount to talk to Christ to get the commandments? What did the children of Israel do? They made a calf of what? Gold by what? Taking off their jewelry. Come on, man. Sometimes y'all got to read this Bible, man. Go back and read it. The children of Israel took off their earrings, their necklaces, and they made a calf of gold. We always been them people, man. We always been them people that had goals. We are the kings of the earth, man. Right? That's what everybody else want to do. Monkey see, monkey do, man. They fall out to what we are, who we are. We them kings. Well, let's go to Hebrews chapter 10. They don't know what they talking about, man. I'll praise to the Father that he's taking the veil off our eyes, like I said, man. Hebrews 10. For the law having a shadow, we started from the top. For the law having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never, with what? With those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually, make the comers thereunto perfect. So Hebrews is showing us the sacrifices won't make you perfect. Why? Because if you were deemed to be what? In sin, all you would have to do is go sacrifice an animal and then you were good. And you'll go back and you'll do the same thing again. And then you'll go back and do the same thing again. And then you'll go and fall on this manner and then you'll throw up a sacrifice. But it wouldn't make you perfect. This is what the scriptures are saying. Verse 2, for then would they not have ceased to be offered. They wouldn't be ceased because you would constantly throw up an offering, right? For the sin that we were accounted for. Because that the worshipers, once purged, should have had no more conscience of sin. See, what Christ wanted was for us to sin and repent and not go back into the sin. But the sacrifices wouldn't do that to you. The sacrifices would have you continually going into sin again, because all I got to do is throw up a sacrifice. All I got to do is go kill a he-goat or a she-goat and sacrifice. That's all I got to do, right? This is why Christ changed this. Verse 3, but in those sacrifices there is a remembrance again made of sins every year, because it makes you remember sin. When you throw up a sacrifice for doing something wrong, it makes you remember sin. Channel the world. Everything you saying, okay, I believe it. I agree with you. Avoid fornication. That's right. Avoid smoking weed. That's right. Right? These are the laws that the Father put into us. These are the works that you must do. These are the works that James said. I'm going to show you my works by my faith. I smoked weed since I was 12 years old. I'm 40. And I started smoking weed about 6-7 years ago, man. So it can be done. That's the works that I'm putting into it, right? That's the works that I'm doing. I'm going to show you my works, my faith by my works. Because Christ said that this weed, these drugs, that's not what's helping you. People want to go, Oh, I'm tripping. I gotta smoke me a blunt. These niggas out here tripping, bro. I gotta smoke me a blunt. That ain't doing nothing for you. The Most High God is what's doing for you, right? But yeah, we're gonna show you our works by faith. But let's go back to Hebrews chapter 10, verse 3. It says, but in those sacrifices there's a remembrance again. That's why he had to be aware of this. Because sacrifices would have you remembering to do it again, because next time I'm gonna have a turtle dove waiting outside for me. Oh, I'm gonna go commit adultery. I know that when I commit adultery, I gotta sacrifice a turtle dove. I gotta do it like this and that. So before I go commit adultery, I'm gonna go get me a turtle dove. I'm gonna keep it at the house. Hey, better not nobody miss that turtle dove. When I come back, I'm about to sacrifice it. This is what Christ is saying, verse 4. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sin. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, when Christ comes into the world, he said, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body that has prepared me. Christ done away with the sacrificial law. Christ is the ultimate sacrifice. He is the ultimate lamb, right? He is that lamb without blemish, without spot, man, right? Let's go to Titus 3 and 5. We have to do works. But brothers and sisters go to Paul's writings and they get caught up. Why? Because they don't have the understanding of it, man, right? Chandler World said, beware of false prophets. I hope y'all do. I hope y'all do beware of false prophets, right? Don't believe me, believe the Bible, right? Every scripture that I gave y'all, don't believe me, go read it for yourself. I bet any one of you Christians that's on here, y'all are not going to go into those scriptures that I gave y'all and read them and look into them. I bet now one of y'all will. Don't believe me, believe the Bible. Go to those scriptures. Go to Hebrews 9 and 11 through 15. Go to Hebrews 10, 1 through 5, right? Go to Sirach 35 and 1. Go to Romans 12 and 1 and 2, right? Go to what I'm going to go to now, Titus 3 and 5, right? And look at them for yourself. World, no, you cannot. Beware of false prophets, man. You're exactly right. I'm glad you said that. Make sure that y'all beware of these pastors and they're shucking and jiving y'all, taking y'all money, not telling y'all that y'all are the children of Israel, man. Right? Not getting y'all ready for the second Exodus, man. Yeah, the Bible gives, you right, King James, verbatim. They act like we putting our own words into this. I didn't read my own words. Hebrews 9 said what it said. Hebrews 10 said what it said. James 4:2 and 14 on down, it said what it said. You got to have an understanding, man. Titus 3 and 5. It's finna say what it says. I'm not making this up. We'll start at verse 4. But after that, the we have done. Because ultimately, it's not by the works of righteousness that got us into where we're at. It's the love that the Most High God gave us and chose us from the beginning. We were ordained from the beginning of time. So weed smoking. I just said it's not okay, Chandler. Don't be weird, man. No, N-O. No, you cannot smoke weed. No, you cannot pop pills. No, you cannot get high on Xanax and drugs. No. You can drink, but you can't drink to get sloppy drunk. No, you cannot. For the 75th time, man. Right? It said, not by works which we have done, man. Because ultimately, it's the grace of God that we are still the children of Israel, and he still chose us. This thing was predestined, man. Let's go to Jeremiah 2. We ain't got long. We're finna get out of here, Israel. Happy Passover again, brothers and sisters. I salute you for staying strong and sturdy into this world of wickedness, right? These people are going to try to get you to not keep the commandments, man. You stay strong in the word of God, man. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 4. Then the word of the Lord came to me saying, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. Before he formed us, he knew us and he chose us. That's why Titus said, not by works which we have done. We have done these works, but it's not by that. That's not what's ultimately getting us to the kingdom. It's that the Father chose us from the beginning. But we have to keep those righteous rehearsals, man. Right? Shalom to the gods of this earth, to the world, to the kings and princesses. Shalom to Israel, man. Like I said again, happy Passover. Right? Kwam Yasharala, Israel. Wake up, man. Right? Arise, man. Right? We are the salt of the earth, and we must show the world how to identify themselves and how to accommodate themselves in this world, man. Right? Tomorrow night we will eat the lamb and the bitter herbs. We always say keep the laws of the Most High God. We are the law keepers. I am Jamaican. Am I able to covenant to Israel, convert to Israel? Yes, you might be an Israelite, brother. The Jamaicans are our brothers and sisters, man. A lot of the Jamaicans are our brothers and sisters. These are who we call Benjamin or Benjamites. Rice and pea. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, rice and pea. Yeah. Those are our brothers, right? And sisters, man. They are part of the 12 tribes. If you are part of the 12 tribes, you always have an opportunity to convert. What it means to convert is to change your ways from the ways of the world and come into the ways of the Most High God, man. Look at the Benjamin, big wolf team, right? Yeah, some of the Jamaicans are our brothers, man. You need to look into that, man. You need to do a search of your fathers, man. Jamaicans are the OG Irish. Come in, would you shut up? I knew somebody gonna say something stupid. He said you Irish, man. This brother here, I don't know where he got his info from, but he said you Irish, man. Come on, man. We go feed him with rice and pea, man. I'll praise the channel. I'm glad to see that spirit is coming off you and that you're able to humble yourself down and just go look at it. Go look into it, channel. Go do some research of your father. Make sure your father's father, that lineage comes from Jamaicans, right? And that is not your biblical name. Your biblical name will be, what? A Benjamite from the tribe of Benjamin. Look it up, man. Brothers and sisters, what's up, 420 elders? How you doing, huh? Again, send that picture, sis. We're going to leave y'all with a law. We are the law keepers. I'm glad that brothers and sisters were in tune to the word. I pray that you had some form of edification tonight, that you were able to grasp something of understanding. We always say keep the laws. Let's go back to Exodus 12 and 8, because we are doing this tomorrow. So the African Americans will be from the tribe of Judah, right? A lot of African Americans will be from Judah, but not all. I'm going to tell you, because some of us have native in us, right? Some of us, we really truly don't know. But if this word lines up with your spirit, then you know that you're going to go into one of those 12 tribes. This is the law for the night, Israel. Exodus 12 and 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. So tomorrow night we will eat lamb, bitter herbs, and unleavened bread. These are the works that we should do in order to what? Please the Father and what? See the kingdom, hopefully. Our praise to the Most High God. Yahweh shall bless Israel with that. I say shalom, family.